I think it's safe to say that in the modern age, people are far unhappier, far worse off emotionally than we were a century ago. Which is weird because materially, we're so much better off than we were a century ago. People today, we have things that people in the 1920s could only dream of. We've got electricity and running water in near enough every house in the first world. We've got fridges completely full of food. Again, that would have been a difficult thing to achieve a century ago. And so we're so much better off in that regard than we were all that time ago. So why is it that people are so much unhappier these days? Well, there's a number of reasons. The lack of community. We're very atomized today, much more so than we were 100 years ago, or even 50 or 30 years ago. Community, true community, seems to have all but disappeared from what I can see. Religion has declined. Christianity is, the Christendom isn't really a thing anymore, and it hasn't been for quite a long time. It was hanging on by a thread, and still is, to be honest. And we're seeing something of a resurgence amongst the Zoomers and people younger than them. It remains to be seen just how big of a resurgence that actually is going to be in the future. But it's not what it was, and it doesn't have the hold over people that it used to. That was people's guiding light back in the day, but that's basically gone now. So, it's the basics. It's the lack of community, the lack of family, the lack of religion, all seem to be contributing factors to why people are so much worse off in terms of their general emotional and mental well-being than they were before, even though we're far better off on the luxury and comfort side of things. So why all the drastic changes? Why is religion and community, why has all that fallen by the wayside? Well, it's because the system changed. I won't get into the specifics, but post World War II, the elites decided on a different course for Western civilization. And so things like comfort and luxury were absolutely ramped up. Absolutely everybody had to live like a king. That was kind of the philosophy. Everybody had to do, everybody had to have everything. Religion was, Christianity was kind of done away with in favour of things like reason and science. Trust the science, bro. That is the new religion of the West, the science trademark. And for a system that's built on quote-unquote reason and science, it seems to be built on a foundation of a lot of lies and a lot of half-truths and a lot of things that are just plain wrong, but people refuse to acknowledge that they're wrong. The entire basis for their worldview is incorrect. It goes against nature. It's a very left-wing pastime to rage against nature. That's what our neoliberal society is all built on now. And it's a civilization that really likes lying to you. It's built on lies. It likes to gaslight you. And so when people they end up being unhappier living in this system because we're all heavily regulated, we're all herded around like cattle, we're just numbers on a spreadsheet these days. Managerialism is, it's the order of the day, and we're just assets to be managed. We're just economic units. And everything that the elites do, everything that the politicians do, everything that anybody who is of high status in society, everything that they do, all that they do is done to further and continue and to perpetuate the system, to keep it going, to keep it rolling, to keep the wheels turning, keep the cog. We're all cogs in it. This isn't anything new. I'm not saying anything revolutionary here. This is all pretty basic stuff. But it's a system that's treated like a living, breathing thing, something that has to be fed. And we are we are among its food groups. The average pleb like you and I. And when we have a problem with that, when we decide that we don't actually like that very much, we don't really like just being a number, we enter a very natural emotional state. You become withdrawn, you become unhappy, you become, if you've had anxiety or depression, you know what it feels like. And when this happens, the system and, those who work for the system, they assign you a label. They say, they designate you as having depression or having anxiety or having this or having that. And that's, it's a funny thing because it's a way that the system, it's a self-perpetuating system for the most part. But it's a way that the system can categorize you and basically label you as some kind of problem. Because it's never the system that's the problem, is it? It's funny that. It never seems to be the way that things are done and the way that we're forced to live and this maze that we're forced to live inside of. That's never the problem. It's always us that's the problem. So when you get labelled as depressed or anxious or having some sort of mental health issue, it's assigning blame to you. It's pointing at you and saying, you have this condition, you are the problem. But it's never the system that's the problem. It's never this convoluted Kafkaesque thing, this monstrosity that we're forced to live inside of that's the problem. That's fine. That's totally fine. This is normal. We're always told this is normal. But when we react badly to it, which is a natural reaction to become depressed and to become anxious when living inside of it, when forced to live in incredibly unnatural circumstances, we're told that you have this, you are the problem. And it can be seen in, laboratory experiments with rats and mice and rodents that are, they're put inside of they're living inside of a laboratory, inside of a construct, which is completely unlike anything that they would live in the natural world. That is just a plastic, completely white maze thing that they're made to live in. Yeah, surprise, surprise, they get depressed. Their cortisol levels spike and go through the roof because they find themselves inside of something that they're not supposed to be inside of. And it's the same with how we're made to live now in the first world. Now, this isn't to say that we would be better off just living like cavemen or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's no good way to live. But don't feel like there's something wrong with you when you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you end up with all kinds of problems, these feelings of isolation, these feelings of being lost. It's all a perfectly normal reaction to the way that we're made to live. It's not you that's the problem. It's, and again, that's not to say you shouldn't work on yourself and try and get yourself out of it if you are feeling like that. Because for your own sake and, so you can have a decent life for yourself, you should try and work your way out of it. Don't just wallow and blame society. Although society is, well, not society as such, but the people who have created the society and keep it going and have no interest in really changing it in any meaningful way, they're to blame. But you can still make some small changes in your own life. But yeah, it is a natural reaction, I think. And it's not really, it's something that they label because they love labels, don't they? They love to, say, you have this. That way they can neatly file you away in a box as a problem for them. You're not with the, you need to get with the program. Just numb yourself to how things are. That's their solution. which obviously comes in the form of medication or bread and circuses. They get addicted to prawn or fast food or whatever makes you feel good. All of it's just it's just pasting over the actual problem. But that's what they like. They don't like actual solutions. They don't like beneficial changes. They just want things to continue as they are and just, smear paste over the cracks and pretend they're not there. Because, the thing is built on a foundation of lies. So we'll just cover everything up. Every time the truth rears its head, we'll cover that with lies as well. It's just the way it goes. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this one. I just wanted you to know that if you are feeling horribly depressed and isolated and miserable with the way things are, well, how else could any sane person really react to it? Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching and making it to the end if you did. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, all that YouTube jazz. I'll see you in the next one.